And of course, we always giving glory to the word, sound, and power of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, crowned King of Kings in the presence of the world community November 2nd, 1930, along with his Empress Menin, King Alpha and Queen Omega. And this is like a sequel to proof that Emperor Haile Selassie is still alive. First, I have to big up all Rasas International Foundation in Jamaica, Caribbean, the Americas, England, and the world. And in particular, we have who I think it's Ligos Amlak, Jalico, Lioness, respond to the first setup on the YouTube. So I want to give thanks to them showing their interest, and also I realize there's nearly 1,000 people that have viewed this already, and it's only about a month itself. So all of you all who have seen it, tell someone else so we can have 10,000 or 10 million people to see this. Because people have to know our God liveth. And we don't even have to deal with God again. We just deal with King and Lord and earth's rightful ruler, His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, who from 1975, when you come into the monastery, he's no longer King of Kings. The tradition in Ethiopia, once you cross the threshold of a monastery, whoever or whatever you were outside, you are no more. You are now Bahatawi, you are a hermit, you are a monk. You are an initiate into that particular monastery. And Our Majesty humbled himself to the same thing, just like Lalibela and Saint Tekle Haimanot in the past. These are also great emperors who set that example. They did their time ruling the earthly kingdom, and then when their time will come, they can see the direction of man and the direction of the kingdom, not the king man, the kingdom. And so these holy men retreat from the eyes of the public, and they go off into the monasterial world. This is a tradition in Ethiopia, and it's nothing new under the sun. But in this generation, Our Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, who is now known as Abba Kedus Emmanuel Tekoram Lak, and he moves with two other monk priests, both of them older than him. The Holy Trinity moves in groups of threes. When God manifests himself on earth, he moves in groups of three men. And this is how our Holy Trinity is moving in Ethiopia. Abba Tekoram Lak, when I met him, was 119 years old. That was in 1997. Abba Emmanuel Wold, when I met him, he was 111. And the baby out of the bunch, Abba Kedus, who we know as Haile Selassie, was 105 when I met the three of them in 1997 at the All Africa Conference of Churches as the international representative of the Rastafari movement. The 7th General Assembly, Bishop Desmond Tutu was presiding, and this was held in Africa Hall, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. From those times to these times, I have been constantly plagued and assaulted by Satan personally because of these informations which the Almighty has entrusted I with. And I continue to fight. I will not bow to the dragon. I will continue to uphold the precepts of Rastafari and the Nyabingi order which I learned from my elders, and which I shall pass on to the babes. For this trad must continue from generation to generation. So I would like to give you all a brief lesson on the Kabbalah, which functions off of the number 11. The word sound is El even, which means equal to God, God and man. El even, 11. There are 11 worlds or 11 Sephiroth, or 11 existences inside of the Kabbalistic tree, which they call the tree of life. We know it as a tree of knowledge. And inside of these 11 worlds or 11 Sephiroth exists everything from the thought to the thing. And right now we're going to deal with the number 83 as far as numerology and the Kabbalistic gematria is concerned. The number 83 is a glyphic. The 8 is 2 circles, and the 3 is a circle broken in half. And even when cells multiply, they follow the same process. This is number 83, because we do not limit ourselves to the English or Arabic numbers that have been passed on through the ages by the ruling societies. We are from eternity, and we will continue to be here eternally, and we read things glyphically, not necessarily in English or in any of these languages established by men. The glyphics were established before the hieroglyphics, which came down the river Nile into Egypt, which was then called Mizraim or Misery. That's where the word misery comes from. The original name for Egypt was Mizraim or Miser. And they came through Nubia as glyphics, which was simple picture drawings a very simple form of communication for man to communicate with his brethren when they traveled beyond distances that they couldn't speak audibly or catch them on a horse or a donkey. So they had messengers to carry these picture messages, these glyphics. Eventually they became hieroglyphics, which everyone is familiar with, on the temples of Nubia and Egypt. And then this evolved into a cuneiform and the different forms of ancient writings, which eventually evolved into even the Anglo-Saxon letters that we deal with, the Greco-Roman letters of the Latin alphabet and the Greek coins and all those different languages, written languages that come down through time. So again, this number 83, they claim that His Imperial Majesty was killed when he was 83 years old. Also, Psalms 83 is one psalm in the Bible, King James Version, where they preserve the name of Jehovah. 83 verse 18, that men may know that thou whose name alone is Jehovah art the Most High over all the earth. So the same mystic of this number 83, significant in Psalms 83 of the King James Bible, is also significant in the ancient Ethiopian Orthodox liturgical book. Now this book originally was for both the Coptic Church and the Tawahedo Church, the Ethiopian Church. Later on in politics they separated the two churches. But if we read in the preparatory service, verse 83, it just so happens, coincidentally as one might say, but we know it's more than a coincidence. Coincidentally, verse 83 says, "For our King Haile Selassie, we beseech that God may vouchsafe him much peace in his days." This is the English translation. Also in the anaphora of the apostles, the anaphoras now are 14 liturgical services that were given to the Ethiopians, one of them rumored to be given by Christ himself, on how to worship the Almighty with the rituals of the ancient Judeo-Christian and Hebrew traditions. This is what the liturgical services of the book were all about. And they were, some say borrowed, we say stolen, from the Ethiopian church by the Egyptian church. And then it was circulated amongst Rome and the different places of Europe, where you hear the Roman Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and these different churches that carry out these rituals. They borrowed them or stole them from the Ethiopian liturgical books. And the whole thing about the liturgy was the process that Moses and Aaron used to have to deal with in approaching the Ark of the Covenant. It was perpetuated in the Christian era on how they would approach the body of Christ and share this communion with the congregation. So there's pretty much nothing new under the sun. As they say, the Old Testament is the New Testament concealed, and the New Testament is the Old Testament revealed. And there's also, I call it livogram, some people would say diagram. There's a picture of these things through some of the oracles of the Old Testament, how we can see Christ in the Old Testament through the rituals of the ancient sanctuary, the Hebrew sanctuary, the tabernacle of Moses.